Hey, welcome to Film Fanatics. My name is Dan.
My name is Justin.
And I'm Joe.
This week we've got the latest Disney Princess, a new Bad Santa installment, a Brad Pitt World War II drama, and Oscar hopeful Moonlight. Very interesting docket this week. And we kick it off with that Disney film Moana. Justin?
Aloihi Carvalho voices the titular Moana, a young girl adamantly seeking more than the Polynesian islands. However, when an ancient curse destroys their land by the demigod Maui, voiced by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Moana takes it upon herself to track him down and make things right. So 2016 as a whole has been a lot of different things, and I think finally I've managed to sum it all up in 3 words filmically. Lower the bar. I would love to say that Moana is the exception to the rule, but alas it's not. That's not to say that there aren't good things, but there's some pretty noticeable flaws. In quite a few ways, Moana is actually really impressive. The animation is gorgeous. Carvalho does a great job as Moana, and her chemistry with Johnson over the course of the film is actually pretty good. With that said, where does it start falling apart? Music-wise, the film is all over the place. Some are showstoppers, others are complete throwaways. Johnson does a good job at parts. His song number is great when accompanied by the animation. I think by itself it's okay. But really where this one loses some major points for me is how ridiculously uncomfortable this movie seems to be in its own skin. To illustrate, the first third of the movie is essentially set up, developing the big event, trying to give us the whole stepping stones to this adventure. And then in Act 2, for some reason, Moana takes a complete right turn into essentially 30 minutes of meta humor, hoping that it's going to break the mold that way. There's a completely poorly timed joke about Twitter that I have no idea why it made it into the film. And even though I can appreciate the fact that they're sort of making nod at okay, Disney princesses are divided by sidekicks and all this. It's yes, that's mildly amusing, but you're not doing anything Enchanted didn't do so many years prior. It makes a big difference. And alongside that, the storyline kind of ends up becoming a copy and pasted version of a bunch of different Disney movies. Let's just say there's one point near the very end of the movie that it's essentially a ripoff of the Mufasa scene from Lion King. It's almost shamelessly so. But with all that said, it is a fun ride. The performances are really great, and it's absolutely worth the price of admission to see it in 3D. And when it does work, it works exceptionally well. It's just a movie that I think could have been one of the actually really exceptional movies of 2016, and instead is just passable family entertainment.
I had no real interest in this movie, to be honest. I didn't think the trailer looked that interesting.
It's Disney, though.
But it's Disney, so it's okay, most of their trailers aren't that interesting for the animated stuff.
Absolutely.
So, all right, we'll go into it. I love The Rock. Mm-hmm. I still call him The Rock.
Everyone loves The Rock. You can call him The Rock. It's The Rock.
But I agree. It's not bad. I didn't dislike it, but it does have some problems. I don't think I disliked it quite as much as you did, Justin, but I agree that the songs are very scattershot. You've got obviously the guy that did Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda, wrote all the songs for this, and it's got some of the songs are this sort of more tribal kind of thing, mm-hmm. which I sort of liked because it helps it stand out a little bit.
It's not bad.
I like those.
The villain song is decent. Pretty good, but it's standard. Mm-hmm. I prefer, I know this was a big bone of contention on the show, but I prefer the Christopher Walken Jungle Book villain song, because they're kind of in the same vein. The Rock song I enjoyed. That was, I think, one of the standouts.
Definitely.
And also the main Moana song. I agree that she does a really good job, with the voice work. Virtual newcomer, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
And, Johnson was fine, as usual. While I was watching it, I did think of something Justin has said a number of times about some of the older Disney movies from the late '90s era. Mm-hmm. It's all the sidekicks and the sidekicks have sidekicks, and it's like here we have the dumb chicken, which I thought was funny, but then you've also got the Rock's tattoos were like kind of a sidekick on their own,
talking to him.
And then there was like the other sidekick at the beginning, the like pig or whatever.
It's distracting.
Yep. It gets kind of distracting.
There's just pick one.
Just pick one sidekick and stick with it. Yeah.
His tattoos didn't need to like do bits.
They were cool as the movie around was,
fine,
but like
and I liked the story behind them.
Yeah.
But they didn't need to do comic relief.
Hey,
with them. So yeah, I thought it was definitely better than I thought it was going to be. But I would say for the princess entries, it's certainly on the lower end for the last 10 or 15 years. Joe?
Well, it seems to me like this is disguised as the Moana hate show.
Like, no, I actually do have a fairly high grade for it. I just compared to like a Frozen, a Tangled, a Princess and the Frog, it just doesn't compare.
Well, I'm kind of glad because I wasn't super blown away by it. I mean, I think that there wasn't too much more I can add. The animation was great. I really liked it.
Oh yeah,
I did like some of the tribal elements of the songs. I think that from a cultural standpoint, I see what they're trying to do, and that's cool. I like The Rock, as everyone does.
Sure.
I think he's got charisma. I don't think he's fantastic, but he's good. He's good, and I think the newcomer, I thought she did a great job. I actually really liked her. I think in terms of her design, she's good. She's got a unique look for the Disney princesses, but her story's pretty basic in a lot of ways.
It's
very, very, very basic. And there are definitely too many sidekicks. And a lot of the bits and some of the meta humor I thought was a bit too much as well. I just thought that it was very uneven in that sense. I thought like it brought it down from exploring some great things. Mm-hmm. But visually it was cool. The music was okay. There were a couple good ones. But I think that it definitely lacks the punch of a lot of the classics that they're going for.
Well, there's no real showstopper.
No.
Not especially.
There's a couple of catchy numbers.
Oh, yeah.
And I did like the tribal, of sort of the instrumental numbers.
Scores and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the score. But, yeah, I mean, any of the movies that we talk about on this show, you could pick out a song or two.
Yeah, definitely.
And certainly for me, Trolls has a number of songs, if you're going to talk about recent animated films, that stick out.
It's true. Yeah. Unfortunately, this one didn't have as much to really do that. Mm-hmm. But people have been praising it, and I kind of get why.
I think mostly because they're like, oh, it's so groundbreaking. It's groundbreaking, and it's also not.
You pick a different setting, and you get some,
It's basically the same princess. I mean, it's like, okay, you got a Fa Mulan.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, yeah, you're implementing more diversity into the Disney.
The type of story you're telling, though, is not radically different.
The same.
It's the same basic stuff.
Ridiculously generic.
Literally, the surface of it might be different, but it's pretty easy to see through. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I felt about it. It's enjoyable, it's good, but it's not groundbreaking as everyone was making it out to be.
Correct. Yeah.
It's not.
Which is, whatever. I mean, I didn't expect anything.
I didn't either. I was like, personally.
But those reviews kept coming in
personally,
so positive. What?
I think Disney's trying a little too hard with this thing they're trying.
I think they are too.
And I'm like, come on, guys. I think you're focusing on the wrong aspect here.
Well, I think when the reviews come in, so strong for a movie like this, and in this year alone, we've already gotten Zootopia, Kubo, Storks and Trolls, which Joe and I liked a lot.
Actually,
Finding Dory was very good. There's been a lot of really good animated movies this year. Mm-hmm. I don't think this is stacking up to any of those.
Nuh-uh.
It's better than a few of the lesser ones, but for Disney princesses, not the tops.
No, I don't think so.
Definitely do a little bit more with it. That's for certain.
You can do a lot more with it.
Yeah.
What is your grade for Moana?
B.
Yeah, it's a B for me as well.
3 Bs.
Ooh, what an ice cream place.
I know.
Indeed.
Very good.
Locally.
Check it out. Anyway. Locally, yes, for our show, yeah.
Okay, so up next is Bad Santa 2. Billy Bob Thornton is back in this as one of his most famous characters, Willie Soaks, a.k.a. Bad Santa, the alcoholic criminal that some of us came to love in 2003. Joe, not so much.
Not really.
Never a huge fan. In this installment, little person Tony Cox returns as Marcus the Elf, and the two team up again for robbery, along with Kathy Bates as Willie's estranged mother, and this time they're going to rob a Chicago charity on Christmas Eve. Christina Hendricks co-stars, and Brett Kelly returns as the boy, now a man, that Willie befriended in the first movie. I think it's safe to say I'm the biggest fan of the first Bad Santa here in the room.
Certainly.
I liked it a lot. I thought, there were a lot of laughs. The Thornton character, sort of has an arc. But here we're sort of back to square one. And I do think that there are some jokes here. But more of them, I think, rely on the let's just say curses and talk about, genitals.
Things.
And,
same old stuff.
So, but I did laugh. I can't deny that. But my biggest problem with this is the heart from the first movie is all but completely absent. Favorites from the first film, John Ritter and Bernie Mac, are obviously passed away. And, Lauren Graham in the first movie acted as sort of a good oil and water to the badness of him. And Christina Hendricks is just not a good substitute. I don't think she's as good of an actress anyway, but her character just adds nothing. And if anything, she sort of... she doesn't help him be worse as, like, a robber, but as a bad person... she bails him out of jail for, doing not great things with her charity. It's like, where's the logic there? This stuff with the kid is okay, but how stupid, really, can we expect him to be? This is like sitcom stretch... it's like he's as dumb as, like, Joey on Friends... in some instances. So, I don't know. I liked it okay, but it's very, very, far cry from the original. Joe?
Well...
Original hater, so...
This should be interesting.
The second one can't have done better.
Well, hater might be a little strong.
Okay.
But it didn't really do much for me. To be fair, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I just remember not being overly impressed by it. I will say this, though. I think Justin might be thinking, isn't this really the time where we've got the sequels... long overdue sequels.
Yes,
no one was asking
several
for, right?
times on the show.
Were people cramming for Bad Santa 2, Justin? I want to hear your opinion.
Yes, absolutely.
They were?
For a while, there was a definite want for Bad Santa 2.
Well,
See, I would say the same about Zoolander, though. And I know
you're right.
Right. That's true. I guess something like Zoolander might have has a fan base, but
ironically enough, they both have the exact same problem. They were way too late to the party.
And that's what I'm thinking. Like 13 years later, it just seems too late to capture whatever magic there was. And I know that there was a point to the original and this character's redemption, even though he's kind of a terrible guy. This one just kind of redoes that.
Yeah.
Essentially, but like you said, without the heart, without the energy, it feels like people are cashing in. And some of it was funny, I guess, but it's the same predictable, juvenile crap that you just see all the time. And, it's the kind of humor that everyone's just pumping out now and didn't really stand out as a Bad Santa movie. And to be fair, I wasn't really a huge fan of the premise in the first one. Right. Maybe it was just a little too snarky for me. I don't know, that particular brand of dark humor I didn't like, I guess. But yeah, this one just didn't have the energy at all. So I didn't like it that much.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
No.
Sounds like you've gone Jack Reacher about it.
Oh, dear.
Which is to say, that
there's a difference. Okay.
After a while, I was just sick of predictable action movies that we had gotten like 5 weeks in a row, and we have gotten a lot of this dumb, raunchy comedy.
And
this year,
we're at the end of the year, and I think the only difference that might be a little better for this is that it at least has something more recognizable about its brand and concept. Bad Santa brings more imagery. Like, at least I know the premise.
True.
And some of the things that happened in this movie, I remember. I don't remember anything about Jack Reacher.
I know, right?
I don't remember a thing. I don't remember a thing.
What a terrible movie.
And,
something about his daughter
and a sort of, but not really daughter.
I don't remember it. Really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a little better.
All right. Well, that's good. That's good.
It's not that bad.
Okay.
But it's pretty bad.
All right, Justin.
Yeah. Well, I was definitely late to the party on Bad Santa. Came out when I was way too young to see it, but eventually got there once.
I don't know. Weren't you like 15?
13. Needless to say, got to it later. Did enjoy it. I wouldn't say greatest comedy ever, but definitely understood the love, but also understood the polarization it got when it came out. Because Billy Bob Thornton's character is very much...
He's unlikable.
He's an incredibly unlikable person, but I would also argue the strength
purpose.
of the movie is he's not supposed to be. And they never try to paint him as like, oh, he's this anti-hero. And I think that gives a good opportunity for the arc. The problem with Bad Santa 2 isn't necessarily the fact that it's unnecessary because people did want it for a long time. I'd say there was a point where we were sort of to the extent of I don't care anymore. But it's not even that, because there were moments that I it was a nice welcome back, and there were some moments I did laugh at.
Yeah,
but
it's got some jokes.
It does, and I'd say the first 15 minutes or so were kind of having me cautiously optimistic. Like, okay, is this actually going to be a worthy sequel? Alas, it was not. But most of that is a result of the fact that it's more or less just retreading the exact same arc of the first movie. Horrible person doing horrible things, kind of decides to do something that may or may not be construed as horrible by the end of it, and, well, there you go. There are some welcome backs. Christina Hendricks, I cannot defend even remotely. I think it's less that she does a bad job per se, but the fact that her character is painfully underwritten.
Yeah, she does stink, though. In my opinion. Not having ever seen Mad Men, but all the other things I've seen her in, she did not impress.
She's pretty good in Mad Men.
All right.
We'll take your word for it. But
it's kind of like is there someone else from Mad Men 2 that you guys always rag on? Was the other girl?
certainly not John Hamm. But
Yeah, I love John Hamm.
Not John Hamm.
I think it's another one of the girls.
Yeah, the other girl, the girl that was on, I was forgetting. She was in How to Be Single. Community.
The one that was in Community.
What's her name?
Yeah, I
Alison
don't
Hill?
like her.
Whatever her name.
Allison Brie, right?
Yes,
Brie.
Allison, yes.
Yeah.
I will say this: Allison Brie and Christina Hendricks are both good in Mad Men. Not much else.
All right, fair.
Okay.
I don't know why. I guess it brings out the best in them because in that show. I don't know.
Well, good writing, I'm sure.
I guess
Helps.
good directing, but like
Yeah.
you know, they always say they suck, like, but they're good in Mad Men. So I don't know.
Well, that does happen.
So is it bad projects, bad directors? Who knows? But
Bad Santa too.
Bad Santa too. Exactly. It all comes full circle.
Definitely is that.
But no, the movie just keeps retreading same ground. I was really hoping Kathy Bates might add something to it. She kind of doesn't, and
Yeah.
the Thurman Merman plot of him spending literally half the movie just getting to where Billy Bob Thornton is goes on entirely too long, and it's not even funny. It's just kind of annoying.
Well, they just dumbed him down so much.
Yeah.
Like when he's 13,
You can
or
understand
10,
why.
or however old he was in that first movie.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're not very worldly. You're just a kid. You've had a terrible upbringing.
Yeah.
I mean, his upbringing probably didn't get much better, but like, still, I don't know. When you're in your
You should know
20s,
something.
I feel like you should know how sex works or how to get on a bus. They really dumbed him down.
What if you've never been on a bus?
I think if you ask the bus person if they're going to Chicago and they say no, you don't get on that bus.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, that seems like,
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't know what Chicago is.
He knew where he wanted to go.
But did he know where it was on a map? Probably not.
No. But he asked the bus person and they said no, they're not going there. So, to me, that's,
Just kind of
Real
frustrating
dumb.
instead of funny. But,
real dumb, yeah.
Yeah, that was dumb as hell.
Yeah.
but, I mean, the one plus side is there is still some humor. And at 88 minutes, give or take some change, it moves pretty quickly. I never really felt bored with it. So it wasn't quite as bad as I was expecting it to be from some of the reviews. I think it was at 27% last time I checked.
Yeah, something like that.
That's a little harsh on my end, but
All right, well, what is your grade?
C for me.
Yeah, it's a C here as well.
It's a C minus.
Okay, well, the
Joe.
hater speaks.
The hate.
Hey. It's not a D plus.
No, very
Almost.
good. All right, how about Allied, Joe?
Well, in
Was
this
Joe a Bill Hader?
In this movie, Bill Hader.
Bill Hader.
Oh, Bill Hader.
What a great
Bill
actor.
Hader. But yes, Allied is Robert Zemeckis' film, and he brought us many great films. And this time he
Including
brings us,
Flight.
including Flight. Hey, 2/3 of that movie is good, right? Right? Or is it 1/3?
1/3.
1/3 is good.
I'd go with like...
And John Goodman.
First 15 minutes, and the intro.
Yeah, like the first 20 minutes are good. But
Right.
But this time it's a World War II kind of romantic drama / thriller, and you've got Brad Pitt. He's this soldier who goes on an undercover mission in Africa, and he meets his handler, who's another spy, who's Marianne Cotillard, who is also named Marianne. I thought to make it easier for her. I'm guessing, and they meet up and they kind of work on each other's plans before they get together to assassinate this German official. I believe it's the ambassador, and during this time getting to know each other, pretending to be husband and wife, they actually do fall in love. And eventually, after moving back to London, his superiors tell him that there's a possibility that she might actually be a German spy, which sucks because he loves her, he's married to her, and he has a kid with her. And if it turns out that she is a German spy, he has to kill her or he will be a traitor and be executed. So,
Oopsie.
Brad Pitt has a dilemma, but at least they know that they want him to kill Nazis, and he knows what he likes to do. That's
He's done it before.
Several times.
Yeah, true.
That's his thing. So there's definitely an interesting idea in this movie. I think for a lot of tense, gripping drama, there really is. And do you get it? You kind of get it because Zemeckis is a good director, and he knows how to create some awesome shots. He knows how to get his costume people to make you feel like you're in the 40s and it's Casablanca. Because if there ever
Why
was
the heck not?
a way to serenade Casablanca, I mean, hey, it's partially,
worse.
it's kind of as a swan song to that. And the costumes were great. I thought that was good, and the performances and the chemistry are definitely there. There's definitely something there. Unfortunately, though, the whole issue of whether or not she is a spy, I want to say it's a spoiler, but they certainly lean much more one way than the other, and I think that kind of kills the tension a little bit. Now, not to say that there isn't some drama there, but then it kind of becomes the movie of waiting. There's a lot of waiting for the next possible reveal, and it doesn't really come. It's just a lot of build up to something that you probably kind of knew already, and unfortunately, it kind of stabbed itself in the foot by sabotaging something really dramatic and I think a much heavier, more powerful ending by adding on a bookend, which I think makes it a lot less powerful than it could have
That's
been.
fair.
And
that is.
I thought it would have worked much better had they ended it at one scene
Yeah.
instead of just telling us more. So I don't think it's a bad movie by any means. I think there's some good stuff there. Like I said, it's well directed and well edited, and there's some good acting, and there's a good story in there, but is it really thrilling enough? Is it dramatic enough? There's some romance, but they don't dig deep enough in that even to make it intense. You don't really feel like you know enough about either of these people. And if it wasn't for the great actors behind them, I'm not sure if you would have cared at all.
Well, I agree with a lot of what you said. I mean, I think the look to this movie is very classic. He was obviously going for some sort of love letter to Casablanca.
Definitely.
And that's fine. I think the story's good. Maybe it's not as tension-filled as the previews would lead you to believe.
No.
I would agree with that, but I still enjoyed it. I thought, there's a lot of good things about it. The era is very cool. And I think that as far as the, tension stuff goes, I think because they were going for a movie that could have been filmed in the 50s, I don't think they were going for, real hardcore, like Jack Reacher, type
Well,
of
bad
stuff.
example.
No,
It's a
but-
bad
I know.
example.
Well, just to bring it back around.
I guess it wasn't quite as cloak and dagger as I would have hoped it was.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. I would say that's probably less of what they were going for and more of what the marketing team wanted you to think they were going for.
And I thought about that.
You know.
That's true. It did give me a different movie than I was expecting. But even so, I think that with the angle they took, they didn't go deep enough.
Mm-hmm. Well, the biggest problem I had with the movie, you actually didn't really mention. In fact, you sort of mentioned the opposite.
What's that?
Okay, so I don't know if, like, the Angelina, divorce drama was distracting Brad Pitt, but he is not good in this movie.
You don't think so?
I really don't. I think he's okay, but, like, for a Brad Pitt, I was not feeling the normal Pitt from him. And
He was a little off his game, I'll give you that.
is it because Marion Cotillard is incredible in everything and he couldn't keep up with her? Perhaps. 'Cause she's excellent. I think she keeps up her half of the story 100%. Pitt?
She's better than he is.
I don't know.
Oh, definitely.
I just felt he was a little off.
But to be fair, his character's a bit underwritten.
I guess so, but even in underwritten characters that we've seen before, I think he pulls it off pretty well. Here, I didn't really feel it as much. So, Justin, what do you think?
Well, I feel like
Would you say that he was a lead actor in this movie?
I would.
Yeah! Okay, that's something.
Here it is.
I was curious. But
Yeah.
go on.
I mean, it is his story. I mean, but I feel like with Zemeckis, we're kind of at that point where he's either on the mark or
Not?
just completely misses it. Here, he's kind of on the mark.
Oh, he's sitting on it.
He's tapping it. He's not quite there.
Would you say he's walking across that high wire,
Trying
of
to
the
balance and almost falling.
You know that scene in The Walk where Joseph Gordon-Levitt's just sort of like getting his sense of balance before he does the titular walk?
Yeah.
That's what this movie is.
Okay.
It's very much a love letter to Casablanca, and while I can appreciate that, it's kind of there are moments where it gets a little too vintagey for my tastes.
Ooh.
Like there's homage, then there's just let's get an actual movie behind this instead of just simply being straight up love letter. Pitt, I think he does a passable job. I mean, I wouldn't say he gives a bad performance. It's just
If it wasn't Brad Pitt,
I don't think it's bad performance.
No, it's not a bad performance. It's not a bad performance, but it is not Oscar nominee Brad Pitt caliber performance from me.
Is it possible that it's because he was playing a character that didn't talk very much? Because usually his best roles are where he talks more. In all fairness.
I mean, he doesn't speak until 5 minutes into the movie, so
I'd have to think about that.
Because is that what it is? Because he might seem flat. Is it because he's silent?
I think I've seen performances from people that don't talk that much that were still pretty decent. I don't think that was it.
All right.
I would more agree with your theory that it's because his character is not well written.
Or maybe underdirected.
Or
like I said, like
could
maybe,
be.
hey, can you,
At times, yeah.
can you do this one again for me? Like, show me that you really care about
Maybe
this.
Zemeckis is like,
Yeah.
look, it's Pitt.
I'm not going to do anything.
Right,
because
I'll
he's
just
Brad
let him.
Pitt. That's
It's like
part-
Johnny Depp in The Tourist.
like-
Not that Zemeckis did that, but
Yeah, like
you know,
are you gonna-
similar idea.
Just do
No.
your thing. I'll trust you because
Yeah.
you're Johnny Depp. You know.
Right.
You know, so you might not direct him. I don't know.
Could be.
I probably wouldn't.
I mean,
I mean, if you got a Brad Pitt on your roster,
Be like, hey, you know what? You just do.
do.
You just here's the scene.
You
just,
do you.
You just do it. I'll
Yeah.
just put a camera on you.
no. I mean, they have chemistry, but I'll just say it.
Anybody
Cotillard
would.
has Pitt for lunch. But no, the story I think actually progressed at a fairly nice rate. The suspense, I think, I'd say for the majority of the second act, it works really well. Unfortunately, the third act is really, really rushed and tacks on an epilogue, which
Hated that.
I do agree. The
was
epilogue's
wholly
not
unnecessary.
great.
It was like, come on,
It's like, yes,
go dark.
it's emotional. Well,
Hey,
actually speaking to that point, we talk every now and again about like movies that shouldn't be rated what they were. You could have easily cut this to a PG-13. This is significant.
Wait, this movie's rated R?
It is rated R.
People get killed.
Yeah,
They do get killed, I guess.
it's
they didn't
fairly
curse very
bloody,
much, though.
but this is so unnecessarily
That's all I care
R-rated.
about.
It's ridiculous.
It is. They don't even curse that much.
That's
Yeah.
what I mean. I actually thought this was PG-13.
Yeah,
Could have
All
almost been PG if you didn't show any blood.
Could have been G, really, if it was made by Disney in the 90s.
well, I mean, there's that one scene where
Well, there wasn't nudity in the sex scene exactly. So.
well,
No.
not only that, but there's also like one bit where I feel like Pitt just like sounded off like 5 F-bombs for no reason than to try and secure an R rating. I have no idea why.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, it's definitely not The Walk or any of his other like movies that have been fairly good recently, but still better than Flight.
You're real hit or miss on Zemeckis, because you didn't like his Christmas Carol either.
Really?
Which I thought was excellent.
I mean,
I enjoyed that one.
yeah.
it was on the mediocre side. I
Yeah.
I didn't hate it, but
Well, I gave it an A. I mean, I thought it was
Oh.
excellent. And
no, compared to that, it's
you
probably
know,
great. But
I think Flight is the only one I really think is like average from Zemeckis. Most of his, I think, are quite solid, I would say. This falls definitely more in the middle tier of that.
Well, you know, he is
For
Spielberg
sure.
Jr. That's what he's
He is Spielberg Jr., and as such, this movie is about 10 minutes too long.
because of that,
But-
that end thing.
It probably is. Because the build-up is pretty good.
the build.
I love the
was-
opening scene.
The opening scene
Yeah,
because
no,
you're
it's-
like you're
yeah,
not
it's a good
sure
ride.
what's happening.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Like I said, there's really good things in the movie, but they definitely could have had more of them.
Yes, I would agree.
You know.
All right, Justin, how about your grade for Allied?
B.
Oh my God. B. Third movie I've agreed with Justin on. B.
3 Bs again.
Wow. This is like crazy.
It wasn't that bad.
This is a weird show,
Ugh,
folks.
all right. Well, Joe can't be included in this last one
It's
because he missed out. But
There's no magic in it. That's why.
no, only regular Moonlight. No magic in the.
Man.
You love those Woody Allen movies.
Like two of them.
Two of the three that you've
and like
seen.
Annie Hall and
Yeah.
hated the other one. Yeah.
Yep. All right, so this is a drama about a gay African American in a drug-infested area of Florida that we see throughout 3 stages of his life: childhood, adolescence, and adulthood, played by Alex Hibbert, Ashton Sanders, and Trevante Rhodes, respectively. His mom is an abusive drug addict, and the only 2 positive people in his life are a school friend and a neighborhood drug dealer who takes him in. Janelle Monáe and Naomi Harris co-star, and the film was written and directed by relative newcomer Barry Jenkins. This movie, I'm not even quite sure where to start. I mean, it's going to be up for virtually every award that there is. And honestly, it should be. I think it's an ambitious piece that pulls no punches, speaks openly about drug culture, abuse, homosexuality in the African American community, and just growing up in general, and what it takes to feel and give love. The actors are all laser focused on the characters, commit to the script. So why am I not giving this movie an A+?
What?
So that'd be good.
I was waiting for it.
The ending. The ending of this movie is it's a a quote unquote finite ending that I think should have been left maybe 2 scenes earlier, much more ambiguously. A movie like this, Boyhood is another example. Drop them off at college. What's going to happen? We don't know.
Boom.
Cut credits. I think this movie has a satisfying conclusion, but for my taste, I would have really preferred for it to be a little more open-ended. Justin?
No, I mean, this has been getting ridiculous marks all over critically speaking, but for me, I really can't argue with it. It's a fantastic piece of cinema. The storyline is handled really well. The writing is brutally well composed. The performance is absolutely fantastic. One thing I thought was a little bit weird is we have the drug dealer aspect at the start, and then they just sort of like kick it off to the wayside later on. I sort of was compiling my own conclusions as it went along, and I think it was also trying.
They sort of allude to what happens.
Yeah, a little bit. I would have been a bit more direct about it, but it's a minor nitpick in a otherwise really well done movie. The cinematography is incredible. Finding that nice balance between being ridiculously raw and gritty and also really showing off some impressive prowess behind the camera and the performances speak for themselves.
Yeah, the performances I can't say anything about. They're all just amazing. Everybody, the kids, the teenagers, the adult versions, and they all. This director, I can't believe that he really has done like one thing before this ever. He gets the kids to be the same all throughout the different eras. I mean, he has them do these little like not ticks, but things that you're like, okay, that's definitely
it's the same guy.
This kid, yeah. I thought that was really cool.
It really helps you think like, okay, what makes a person a person? What makes me me? And how does that define these characters over the course of time? And really, you could pretty much take any of these segments and make a short film out of it, and it'd probably be just as good. Though, honestly, I would say actually one of the things that puts it a little bit above where I was going was actually the ending. I thought the ambiguity with the metaphor was brilliant for what it was trying to accomplish. That need of conflicts, that need for connection in a world that's truly pushing it apart. I mean, it's one of the few movies I think I've seen this year that hasn't really made me think, oh, I need to lower my expectations to get something out of this.
By the end of the movie, there was no real ambiguity, is my problem with it. I think that they should have cut it 2 scenes earlier, that's all. I think that we can draw our own conclusions, and, that doesn't work for every movie, but I think for a movie like this, I don't know. I mean, I think there's too much closure involved with the end of this movie. That's
Okay.
all I'll say without spoilers.
There's only so much we can do.
Right. But all right. So is it an A plus for you then?
In lieu of everything that's come out this year, I think I'm gonna go third A plus for the 2016 lineup.
Okay. Well, it's an A for me. Very, very good. I expect it will be in my top 10 come the end of the year. But much like past Oscar nominees, Birdman, Whiplash, there's just one little thing that I couldn't give it the A plus. So, all right, very good though indeed. One thing I kind of am angry about with this movie, and not about the movie, but surrounding the movie, is I think movies like this, if they win Oscars, people are going to say, "Oh, well, that's just because the Oscars are trying to course correct from Oscars So White," and I think that's sad.
I was gonna say it's just
because
not
this
fair.
movie deserves.
It's actually a good movie.
I mean, we haven't seen everything that comes out, obviously, but Fences is another one. If Denzel wins for Fences, it's they had to give it to Denzel. Oscar So White. Denzel's pretty great. Let's calm down.
Seriously,
and I feel like this movie definitely, if it wins some stuff at the Oscars or the Globes, whatever, I think it will deserve it.
Absolutely.
So. All right, well, with that, that is going to wrap it up for the show. Joe, it's been a little while since we've talked about your channel. We've got the end of the year coming up, so you'll be doing some great stuff, I'm sure, on the Merlin channel.
Always.
Well, I know that, of course. There's always things happening.
Yeah, I've got another more recent anime series that was requested I'll be reviewing, and I know that in a couple weeks I'll be doing some personal favorites of mine that'll be getting some official in-depth reviews and maybe some riffing as well.
Oh, okay. Some films or some anime series?
Both.
Oh,
Cool.
okay.
Very
Very good. Well, you can check out our Facebook group here at Film Fanatics with an exclamation point, and you can vote also in our monthly poll. For December, we're going to be doing the holiday movies once again. So we'll put some up there for you guys to vote on. And you can check us out on Twitter at Film Fanatics Pod. Check out Joe's Twitter at Merlin Reviews. And, of course, you can subscribe to either of our channels on YouTube. So thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you back here next time.